During the 80s and 90s, the TV schedules normally had a 5-minute gap here and there that they would fill up by showing some Looney Tunes cartoons. These were normally sandwiched between sports events. These days, unless you've got Boomerang on your digital TV setup, you aren't really going to see the likes of Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, Roadrunner, etc. on terrestrial TV. Perhaps the frequent beatings that these characters take are considered to be a bit much by today's standards, where cartoons are mostly all just sugar-coated crap. So hooray for supermarket retailers like Morrison's and Sainsbury's then, because they are selling these DVDs which feature classic Looney Tunes cartoon characters, and they're selling them really cheap too. Morrison's were selling them for £3 each, which was a bargain, but now they've knocked them down to an even cheaper 2 of your British pounds. Sold! Sainsbury's are also selling them for 2 for a £5. So, we've bought a few of them, and I'm going to review a few of them too. So first up is the godfather of Looney Tunes himself, Mr. Bugs Bunny. What can be said about Bugs Bunny that hasn't been said 1,000 times before? Well, nothing really, so don't worry, I'm not going to repeat any of it. Although I will say that this DVD review will consist mostly of stills from the classic cartoons, as opposed to any actual footage. Mainly because Warner Brothers tend to get a bit funny with YouTube sometimes. So, what we have on this DVD are 14 hilarious cartoons made between 1941, Wabbit Twouble, to 1953, Bully for Bugs. I should point out that this disc is the very same as Looney Tunes The Best of Bugs Bunny, and that this disc is also featured in the Looney Tunes Golden Collection Volume 1. This was pretty much clear when the DVD package stated that it was just called Bugs Bunny, but upon putting the disc in the DVD player, the menu stated that this was Looney Tunes Golden Collection Best of Bugs Bunny. As well as the 14 cartoons, you also get a bunch of bonus features, including a greeting from Chuck Jones, behind-the-scenes featurettes, Bugs Bunny at the movies, sections from the Bugs Bunny show, trailers, and a stills gallery. The majority of the cartoons also have audio commentaries. So, the cartoons themselves are complete and not a single bit has been edited out, which is what would normally happen whenever they were shown on TV, either for time constraints or because of the violence involved. So, these are the episodes included on the disc. In Baseball Bugs, Bugs takes on the entire baseball team single-handed and beats them using his usual smart tricks. This episode also has one of the rare occasions where Bugs says, "And that's the end," instead of Porky Pig saying, "That's all folks," during the cartoon's conclusion. Rabbit Seasoning is one of my all-time favourite Bugs Bunny cartoons, mainly because Bugs and Daffy spend a good portion of the episode arguing whether it's duck season or rabbit season, with a poor, befuddled as hell Elmer Fudd trying to figure out who is telling the truth. Between sneaky play on words and other tactics such as cross-dressing, Bugs remains completely unscathed whilst Daffy repeatedly gets his beak blown off. In Long-Haired Hare, Bugs gets his revenge on a grumpy opera singer who destroys his banjo and other musical instruments by publicly embarrassing him whilst he's on stage. You know when Bugs says, "Of course you realise this means war," that there's going to be trouble. This cartoon was normally trimmed down by a considerable amount whenever it used to be shown on TV, so it's great to see it all uncut and complete now. High Diving Hare hooks up Bugs with another one of his long-time enemies, Yosemite Sam, who forces Bugs at gunpoint to perform a high diving act when the original person meant to perform the stunt is unavailable. As expected, it's Sam that ends up doing the high diving act, over and over again, whilst Bugs remains completely dry. This becomes a running gag throughout the cartoon. Bully for Bugs is the most recent cartoon, and once again sees Bugs utter the infamous line of course you realise this means war," when he becomes a matador to take on a particularly unpleasant bull, El Toro. This is also one of those episodes where Bugs really should have taken that last toy in Albuquerque. Funnily enough, Toro would later make cameo appearances in such movies as Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Space Jam. What's Up, Doc was a cartoon made to celebrate Bugs' 10th birthday, and it involves him relating to a television news reporter how he rose to fame, when he first met Elmer Fudd, and the origin of his most famous catchphrase. Rabbit's Kin features one of Bugs' little-known enemies, the thunderously stupid Pete Puma. There's also a small bunny named Shorty with a high-pitched voice that gets so annoying you wouldn't really mind if Pete did manage to eat him up. Of course he doesn't, because Bugs manages to save the day. There's another running gag here with Pete repeatedly getting struck on the head after being asked how many lumps does he want. In Water, Water, Every Hare, Bugsy's trapped in the castle of a mad scientist who looks rather like Boris Karloff. During this cartoon, Bugsy's chased by a big, hairy monster, and he ends up impersonating a somewhat flamboyant hairdresser to get the better of him. My stars, what an interesting looking monster! This won't be the first time that Bugs got to camp it up a little in a cartoon either. There's also a really funny chase sequence done in a slow motion, drowsy fashion. I'll get you, rabbit. Big House Bunny pits him against Yosemite Sam again, this time as prisoner and guard in a jailhouse. Here, Bugs drives Sam so crazy that by the end of the episode, he actually opens the main prison door and tells him to get out. Big Top Bunny has Bugs competing with a dancing bear for the position of most entertaining performer at a circus. Not a particularly memorable episode, to be honest, so it seems a little out of place on this collection, especially when you consider what could have been included on the disc. Anyway, more on that later. My Bunny Lies Over the Sea is next up on the disc, although the episode list on the DVD cover doesn't mention this. Why are the makers of the DVD selling themselves short by listing 13 episodes on the back, when the disc actually contains 14? Huh? Well anyway, Bugs once again gets lost while going on his vacation. When is he going to learn to take that left turn at Albuquerque? You would have thought he would have bought a sat-nav by now. Anyway, Bugs manages to incur the wrath of an angry Scotsman named Angus MacRory, who follows the usual stereotypes that the Scots wear kilts, which Bugs mistakes for a skirt, play bagpipes, which Bugs mistakes for a monster, play golf, which Bugs manages to beat Rory at, and are tight with their money, as in, shortly after firing a gun at Bugs, Rory chases after the bullet and reveals to the audience, "It's been in the family for years!" Wabbit Twouble is the oldest cartoon on the DVD, and as a result, Bugs and, in particular, Elmer Fudd look rather different here. In this early depiction of Elmer, he is much fatter and has a red nose for some reason. Also in this cartoon, Elmer doesn't actually do anything that antagonises Bugs enough to start playing his usual tricks. Elmer just shows up to this national park for a restful retreat, or a westful retweet, as Elmer puts it, and Bugs just starts picking on him for no reason whatsoever. To be honest, Bugs comes across as a bit of a jerk in this cartoon. In Ballot Box Bunny, Bugs is pitted against Yosemite Sam again, as the two of them compete to be the mayor of a small town. At the end of the episode, all of their efforts were in vain, as the newly elected mayor, or rather mayor, turns out to be a literal dark horse. This episode then ends on a particularly dark note as the two of them play Russian roulette with a loaded gun. Seems a bit extreme. Needless to say, this was normally cut out when it was shown on television. And finally, the DVD ends with Rabbit of Seville, where Bugs is chased by Elmer Fudd and the two of them end up in a theatre that is showing The Barber of Seville. Bugs then proceeds to use the various props and costumes to get the better of his enemy, including giving him the closest of close shaves. And is it me, or does Elmer Fudd fall in love with Bugs Bunny every time he dresses as a woman? Bit worrying, really. Now then, whilst this is a great collection of classic Bugs Bunny cartoons, I do feel that more could and should have been included. For example, the back of the DVD cover states that Bugs won an Academy Award for Nighty Night Bugs, yet this particular cartoon is not featured on the disc itself. Surely, for a DVD that's meant to be the best of Bugs, it would have the cartoon on it that won an Academy Award. You would have thought so. Also, I felt that the disc should have included the likes of Ali Baba Bunny, Hassan Chop, along with What's Opera Doc, even if it did make me cry my eyes out as a child. Hey, give me a break. I thought Bugs Bunny was dead. I loved these cartoons as a kid, and now that I've got kids of my own, I have a good excuse to watch them all over again. A sign of great comedy writing is that it appeals to many levels, that it transcends generations, and Bugs Bunny definitely does this. The dialogue, flair, and visual comedy is superb, and it hasn't aged a bit. My kids love this collection of cartoons. It's refreshing to see how classic cartoons get the better of some of the crap that is fed to kids on multi-channel TV these days. And at the price these DVDs were going for, they're excellent value for money too. We've also got the Roadrunner, the Wile E. Coyote, the Speedy Gonzales, and the Tom and Jerry DVDs from this collection as well. Also, my dad, who is a huge Looney Tunes fan, also has the Bugs Bunny DVD, along with Wile E. Coyote, Daffy Duck, Taz, and another Tom and Jerry DVD. I'll probably get round to reviewing some of these at some point too, but until then, the Big Daddy D will give the best of Bugs Bunny a resounding thumbs up. Yeah. What's up, Doc?